Thank you so much for that warm introduction. Appreciate it. Thank you, Dana, for your kind words. Made me tear up. Appreciate that. I had the opportunity to work with the National Atmospheric and Oceanic Sciences Administration this summer, and I would like to thank Bergalva for all of her support this summer. It really means a lot. My research project consisted of the Madden-Julian oscillation and its impact on Hawaiian wave heights. So before we get into what the Madden-Julian oscillation is, we first need to define what convection is. Convection is the upward motion of hot air. It's rising in the atmosphere and it's going to diverge in the upper atmosphere, which we can see in the green, and it's going to cool down and then converge in the brown, and there's going to be a downward motion towards the surface, and this is going to create a convective cycle, kind of like a convection oven. So with that, the Madden-Julian oscillation is characterized by the eastward movement of enhanced and suppressed convective rainfall. And in this animation, we can see these blue areas that are associated with the enhanced convection and the brown areas that are suppressed convection. And it is the culmination of these two that make up the MJO. And we can see the eastward movement of them as the animation plays. So to formally introduce our research question, what impact does the Madden-Julian oscillation have on Hawaiian wave heights off the coast of Waimea Bay, Hawaii? Well, there are many implications for this research. It can be useful for recreation like surfing, commercial activities such as fishing, and shoreline structure or resource management. So the two data sets that we used to investigate this impact, we looked at the wave buoy off of the north shore of Oahu, and the outgoing long wave radiation Madden-Julian oscillation index, also referred to as the OMI. The OMI is constructed based on the outgoing long wave radiation, which is the energy emitted from the Earth. In these blue regions, we can see, or that's associated with enhanced convection, so there are more clouds, which is going to absorb more of that radiation, which is why we see the negative OLR in this upper part. And then the brown regions, more outgoing long wave radiation is emitted. And the wave buoy off the north shore of Oahu collects many variables, but we are most interested in wave height. We used 16 years of data, and we needed to manipulate it to get it to a point where we could investigate this impact. With the OMI time series, we calculated MJO strength, which is a measure of how strong the enhanced and suppressed convection is, phase number, and we removed seasonal variation. In addition, with the wave buoy, we also removed seasonal and diurnal variation. However, this was not enough removal, just using that. So we passed it through a filter similar to the one to construct the OMI time series. And in the yellow, you can see lots of variation in wave height, whereas with the filtered data, it's a much smoother curve. So why do we care about the phase number? Why calculate it? Well, it alludes to the location of the MJO. And here in these phase composites, you can see the eastward movement and where the MJO is located at in each phase. So and just to reiterate again, the brown regions are associated with suppressed convection and blue regions are enhanced convection. Phases 1 and 8 are associated near Africa and the Western Hemisphere. Phases 2 and 3 with the Indian Ocean. Phases 4 and 5, the Maritime Continent, and phases 6 and 7, the Western Pacific. I would also like to draw your attention to phases 3, 4, and 8. They are significant. So what impact did the MJO have on Hawaiian wave heights? This figure right here is a distribution of wave height against MJO strength in winter for each phase. Along the x-axis, we have MJO strength, and along the y, we have wave height. In these phases, we see a weak correlation between the MJO and wave height. We also see lots of variation, and this can be attributed to many components, one in particular, high latitude storms that affect the mid-latitudes where Hawaii is located. However, we did see a positive correlation in phases 3 and 4, so as MJO strength increases, wave height also increases. In contrast with phase 8, we see an anti-correlation, whereas MJO strength increases, wave height decreases. And this positive correlation is associated with the enhanced convection over the Indian Ocean, which we can see in those two snapshots right there, phases 3 and 4. And the negative correlation corresponds to suppressed convection near the Indian Ocean and maritime continents. Here in this figure, we have median wave height as a function of MJO phase. Each line represents a different strength of the MJO in each phase, but it furthers the point made in the previous slide. And again, phases 3 and 4 are associated with enhanced convection over the Indian Ocean, and we see this systematic increase in phases 3 and 4. And then the suppressed convection in phase 8, where we see that systematic decrease. And the overall implication of this research is that a forecast of the MJO could be used to predict wave height conditions near Hawaii. And so we don't understand the physical mechanism at this point. Our working hypothesis is that the MJO is forcing atmospheric wave trends that affect the mid-latitudes and surface winds near Hawaii. We are hoping to investigate this hypothesis by looking at wind patterns from different MJO phases. And currently, MJO forecasts are lacking, which presents a challenge to this research. We're hoping to examine a lead lag dependence of correlation to see whether an empirical prediction model could be developed as an alternative. So to summarize, we see that the MJO has the greatest impact on Hawaiian wave height during phases 3, 4, and 8. Phases 3 and 4, as the strength of convection increases, so does wave height. In contrast, during phase 8, as the strength of suppressed convection increases, wave height decreases. And the overall implication is that the forecast of the MJO could be used to predict wave height conditions for industries in Hawaii. Thank you.